Okay, it's time. Against my better judgment, I am playing the Aurum Vale. I have unlocked the necessary tier and the necessary quest to get credit for this in my grand company. So it's time to get this dungeon out of the way. This is a very notorious dungeon, known for being one of the, perhaps the least favorite dungeon of most players of this game. It's an optional dungeon. It is a level 47 dungeon that sinks to level 49, right before the coveted level 50. In fact, it is the last dungeon you will play before hitting level 50. This dungeon is to be taken seriously because if you don't, it will destroy you. But, like any other dungeon, if you know what you're doing, it's not that bad. So, cross your fingers, say your prayers, and here we go. Okay, so this first room, there are wandering enemies all over the place, and those frogs that gave us so much grief in Samile Darkhold. Again, a smart tank isn't going to make enormous pulls at this level. Now, back in the day, I don't know if it's really done that much anymore, but back in the day, there used to be groups that would just pull everything in this room, kill everything, get the experience, then would draw from the dungeon and start again. And it was actually a very good way to grind. Square Enix did change a lot of how experience is earned in dungeons. At some point, they nerfed the amount of XP you get from individual enemies and increased the amount of XP you get from bosses. So you got roughly the same amount of XP from dungeons. You just didn't get, it was just basically, they changed it so that you couldn't do a full room pull in this area like this and get more experience than you would from actually playing bosses. I've heard that this is still actually a pretty lucrative dungeon for grinding XP. To get from 47 to 50. But most players tend not to be very happy when this dungeon shows up. Okay, and now we're in a little bit of trouble. Yeah, this is why big pulls in this. And again, most of the time, when big pulls happen in this room, it is entirely by accident. You pick up one group, try to tank it in a certain place, other enemies come in and aggro. A lot of wandering enemies in this room, so knowing where to tank. I have 2 Veil Wasps on me. I better stick around. This actually works out pretty well. tank down these two Veil Wasps. Okay. Getting those Veil Wasps out of the way will help us out immensely. Because the trick is, as always, watch out. Yeah, let's get a protect. But yeah, you gotta watch out for the roaming enemies in this room. What killed us on that first run there? We had a lot of wandering enemies come in and ruin our day. I find it easiest to pull everybody back into this area right here, as enemies will rarely wander all the way over here. If you look, those wasps are doing a little wandering around, and that Nyx over there does some wandering around. So if you're not really careful, you're going to get every one of those enemies joining the party along with whatever enemies you were trying to pull. Alright, I'm going to try to make a beeline for the boss room. Now with Garuda, you gotta make sure she gets into the room. Many is the time I've had my pet locked out. Alright, first boss, here we go. This boss will, over time, give you a stacking debuff that's gonna give you damage over time. That damage can be cured, or that status effect can be cured by eating normal fruit, which is scattered all over the arena. In this fight, about every 2 stacks of the gold lung debuff, the normal fruit will respawn. So the trick is, only eat the fruit when you have 2 stacks. Alright, I have 2 stacks. I'm gonna munch a fruit. And that's really all you need to know for this fight. Stay back, position yourself near a moral fruit. Really not that much dodging you're going to have to do. Except when he does that. See, right there, my new moral fruit. I still only have 1 stack. So when I get another stack, I'll eat another fruit. Other than that, you just play it like you normally would. Keep your dots up. Keep blasting. There's my 2nd stack, so I'm going to eat the fruit. See my fruit sprouting soon. There it is. long as you're managing your stacks and only eating a fruit when you got 2, this is not a hard fight at all. And it's really easy if you're playing a caster, because you can just camp out right next to the fruit. Yeah, I'll roll on that. I don't really need it, because the relic gear is actually better. But, oh, the healer got it. That's fine. Had I received it, I probably would have turned it in for some seals. Alright, next couple... Oh, this is a fruit room. Alright. So the fruit, if they last long enough, will germinate and turn into a normal seedling. Some groups, however, like them to germinate, because it's actually worth a lot more experience to kill a seedling than it does to kill a fruit. I usually just follow the tank's lead on this. Because honestly, the seedlings are not that hard to kill. Oh, we're getting bold. Alright. Our main objective in this room is to kill Gold Vine. The fruits and the seedlings are just ads. But if you're facing about 10 to 12 of them, they can definitely ruin your day. The trick in this room is just taking a little at a time, and then taking Gold Vine when you can. As soon as you do kill Gold Vine, you can go into the next area. You will notice I've been avoiding those little yellow pools as best I can. They do give you a poison effect if you're standing in them, so don't stand in them. This is another room that if the tank gets reckless, he will die. But I see the tank is playing conservatively. This is good. Might be tempted to try to pull everything in this room, but things in this room hit hard. And I really wouldn't recommend taking more than one group here at a time, unless everybody is very experienced and knows exactly what they're doing. Now you'll notice the boss chamber is right over there. The thing about this dungeon is it's very challenging, but it's not very long. Do the old summoner 2-step, tuck around the corner of the boss chamber to make sure your pet gets in. Okay, the coin counter. Your main objective with the coin counter as a summoner is to stay away And watch where he's facing when he uses the Glower attack. Most of this guy's really powerful and really dangerous attacks are going to be in melee range. So don't get anywhere near melee range as a caster. Glower. When he casts Glower, he'll shoot a big old line AoE that will do a lot of damage and paralyze. So just make sure you're not in that line of sight. It has no telegraph, so you will not know exactly where is safe. Just don't be in the line that leads out from his single eye. This is a Cyclops enemy, and most Cyclops enemies have attacks like that. Okay, moment to reconsider means the threat table is being reset. So I usually like to wait a few seconds to make sure the tank has hate established. Get out of the way of Glower. Sometimes he'll cast Glower multiple times in succession, so be on the lookout. Now for people who are in melee range, he'll use a swipe and a swing. Swipe is basically a cone in AoE in front of him. Swing is a circular AoE around him. So if you use the swipe, you just want to make sure you're not in front of him. If he's using a swing, you don't want to be anywhere near him. Again, as a caster, you should be out of range at all times. Okay, he's taking a moment to reconsider. I'm going to wait a few moments. He also does that, but again, if you're not in melee range, you don't have to worry about it. What you do have to worry about is the aggro reset. If you're in the middle of a powerful combo, you might find yourself targeted by the boss. Glowering again, get out of the way. Again, not hard if you know what you're doing. And as a summoner, what you're mainly going to be doing is staying out of range and just making sure when he casts Glower, he's not looking at you. If you can do that, this boss is not a problem. I know at the beginning I kind of made a big deal about this being a notoriously challenging dungeon, and it can be difficult. If you have inexperienced players, or if you yourself are an inexperienced player, there are some challenging mechanics that are definitely going to require you to bring your A game. But once you know what you're doing, it really is not that hard of a dungeon. Alright, we're going to see how this pull goes. 6 enemies might be a little much. I'm desperately going to try to whittle down as many of them as I can. Let's go for the Bane Mine next. Could do this. This is a fight that can easily go south if you get 2 groups. But the healer is doing a good job of keeping up with the damage. We're now down to 4. I think we're going to pull this off. Alright, we got this. Again, very often when I see a big pull like that in this particular room, better than half the time it ends up a wipe. But I'm very pleased with the way our tank and healer are handling this. This is a good group. And that's really the key. If you get in this dungeon with a good group, it's going to go nice and easy by the numbers. Whew, that room's clear. Yay. Okay, is this the next Orville room? I think it is. No, it isn't. Now, I will tell you, most of the gear in this particular dungeon is actually worthless. And here's the reason why. At level 45, one of the job quests you take is to collect 4 pieces of artifact gear. For your head, arms, legs, and feet. The only piece you don't get at level 45 is your chest piece. So if you get a chest piece drop here, that's actually probably going to be an improvement over what you have. But if you get any other, or if you get an accessory or a weapon, I don't know if you can get weapons in here, but I know you're going to get accessories. The accessories you get from this dungeon are generally very useful. But if you get a head, arm, leg, or chest piece, or sorry, chest or foot piece in this area, it's not going to be as good as your artifact gear. So you'll probably end up just putting it straight on the, or you'll take it straight to your Grand Company for seals, which is not a bad thing, especially if you're trying to max out your rank, which, if you're playing this dungeon in its proper sequence in your Grand Company adventures, you should only have a couple of ranks to go. Alright, we're killing the fruit this time, that's fine. Now we gotta worry about Goldmine. Now, Goldmine is a Morble, and Morbles have a bad breath. No, really, they have an attack called Bad Breath. Any Final Fantasy fan should be familiar with these creatures and their infamous Bad Breath attack, which inflicts every status ailment under the sun. I need to resummon. So, the moral of the story is, whatever you do, please, for the love of all that is good and holy, do not be in the AoE for bad breath. It will mess you up. Now, this Morble bed actually has 2 keepers. So there are 2 Goldmine to worry about. There's the other one. And then that passage over there will open up. Yeah, they most certainly are. Alright, well, that'll take care of those. Alright, and Morble is down. Go ahead and grab that treasure chest. It's earrings. As I said, accessories in this dungeon are good, because you probably won't have anything anywhere remotely as good as a level 47 accessory at this point. Now, as you can tell by the indicator on my map and its objective mark for my Grand Company quest, we are almost done with this dungeon at this point. As I said, not very long. Challenging, but not very long. All said and done, I should have level 48 on this character. That'll be good. Now, the last boss shares some mechanics with the first boss, namely the Morble Fruit mechanic. But there are some notable differences here. So our boss is another marble. Now, this time the marble fruits, they still regenerate, but not nearly as fast. So, to really do this dungeon right, you're going to wait till you have 3 stacks before you eat a marble fruit, and then you're going to move on to find another one. You'll notice there's a lot more. Again, it's because they don't regenerate as quickly. So I'm going to camp out here. No, I'm not going to camp out here. I'm going to camp out here. Alright, now from here on out, I'm always going to make sure I have 1 ether flow stack ready. So as soon as ether flow regenerates in about 20 seconds, I'm going to refresh it and make sure I never use all of them. I always want to make sure I have 1, and you'll see why momentarily. But for right now, again, I'm looking at my stack of Burburo. What this one is called. When it gets to 3, I'm going to consume a marble fruit, and then I'm going to find a new position with a new marble fruit to camp out at. But I'm not going to use all 3 stacks of ether flow at this point. I'll use my second one for another fester. But I'm waiting for something very specific. And I'm going to keep my dots refreshed on it. Or more accurately, her. That is a mistress. Heal her down. Alright. So to see, now I'm going to use that. So, by veining, I've actually managed to put quite a bit of damage on these marble fruit. So hopefully we can take most of them out before they germinate. Now, my timing was unfortunate in that miasma had just gone off. I should have refreshed that, but I was in the process of healing the... Oh, I need to eat a fruit. There we go. Yeah, that, the death of the healer kind of ruined my timing on that. I would have normally just eaten a fruit, made sure to have miasma refreshed on the boss, and then gone from there. But I was worried about keeping the healer alive, in order to keep this fight going. Alright, we're going to have another germination. As soon as the eggs appear, bam, bam. And then if you haven't, use that AoE with Garuda. Boom, that's the way it's done, right there. Now I've got 3 stacks, so I'm going to eat a marble fruit. Oh, I need to refresh Garuda. As you can see, there's a little more to worry about in this fight. There's a lot going on here. You just gotta constantly be adapting, constantly stay on your toes. Make sure that you're near a marble fruit at all times. When you get to 3 stacks, make sure you have an ether flow stack ready, and you have the dots up on the boss, so that as soon as it sows, like it's about to right now, it'll always move before it sows. When they appear, feign. Now another possibility is to use an AoE limit break to take everything out. But I think we're going to have this. We have the melee limit break, which took out most of its damage, or took out most of its health. We're going to get the rest of that down in a couple hits here. I'm not even going to worry about eating the marble fruit. I leveled up. I learned a roll action. I now know all the roll actions. At this point, I can only slot 5. Now, when patch 4.4 comes out in a few weeks, then I'll be able to slot all of them. I may do a separate video on roll actions, to be honest. I'm going to give that healer a com. And I'll roll on this machinist weapon. And I'll eat the fruit to get rid of those 3 stacks. And I'll leave. And I got 3 combos out of that. Nice! Okay, so that was Aurum Vale. Again, a challenging dungeon, and I trust you saw that that last boss was more than a little frantic. But again, when you know the mechanics and are just always paying attention to what's going on, it's a very doable dungeon. But it may give you some trouble on your first attempt. I know that dungeon used to give me all sorts of grief when I was first starting this game. I'm pretty good at it now, but it was hard-earned, to be sure. Okay, so next I'm going to continue doing the main quest. Actually, next on the agenda is a level 49 trial. The first 8-person trial in the game, Cape Westwind. Also, the easiest 8-person trial in the game. It will be over within a minute, and I'm not exaggerating. It probably will take less than a minute to beat. And then after that is the level 50 endgame dungeons, and then a lot of level 54 player dungeons. So look forward to it. A lot coming up when I get around to recording them. But until then, have a wonderful day.